Kiwi FM.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Daniel Nielsen from the Copenhagen Post.
Or was, or still is, I'm not sure actually, but we are crossing to Copenhagen to chat with our correspondent over there. It is Daniel Nielsen. Letter from Copenhagen, we call this. Hello to you, Daniel.
Good morning, Wammo.
Still at the Copenhagen Post. I'm aware you're a bit transitional at this stage, aren't you?
Yes, I've got about a week and a half left at the Copenhagen Post, and I'm happily moving on to the National Geographic online business here in Copenhagen.
Oh, excellent. So, so you'll be covering more, I guess, the natural world, I suppose, for the National Geographic.
Yeah, I'll be working in Danish, which is going to be quite a challenge for me. I've been at my job at the moment is translating from English to Danish mostly, and now it's going to be the other way around. So, translating. Sorry, I got completely confused there. I've been translating from Danish to English, and now it's going to be the other way around. So Danish will be my main language. It'll be fun because I'm not really that educated in Danish. I've got sort of a high school education in Danish. Yeah. But yeah, I'll be working for National Geographic's website. I'll be editing their online site here in Denmark, which takes all its content from the business in the States.
Great. Well, the winter over there has been pretty fierce, has it not? Anywhere, I suppose, in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment. But how's it been in Denmark?
It's been quite nice actually, with a lot of snow. You know, if you have a winter, you want it to be a proper winter, right? Yeah. But yeah, it's been a long time since it's snowed this consistently in Denmark for over winter. I think now for 3 weeks it just keeps snowing. There's always snow on the ground, which is great fun for kids and me. We've been out on the what do you call it? Tobogganing? What do you call it in New Zealand? Sledding or tobogganing?
Oh, both, I'd say. Yeah, toboggan.
Either or.
Why not?
I took my wee boy out tobogganing the other day. That was great fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think this weekend could be another trip down to the sled hill, as we call it. And
now I also hear, being out and about on the streets there, you've been snapped by the mapping company, the local version of Street View.
Well, I haven't, but my wife and my boy have, just to keep the family involved here. But this Danish company called Krak, spelt Krak, they've beaten Google to the punch by providing the first Street View map service in Denmark. They've got Copenhagen, Aarhus, and Odense, which are the 3 largest cities in Denmark. It's actually a really old mapping company, 240 years old. This business is, and they've beaten Google. Is planning to get its Street View happening here in Denmark, but I don't know why they haven't yet. But yeah, now Krak has managed to beat them to it. And I was looking at one of the areas in Copenhagen. It's called the sort of mini Amsterdam area of Copenhagen, where we were living when we first moved here in the summer. And I thought, maybe I can spot myself or someone I know around the area. And sure enough, I found my wife walking our boy in the pram. And he's, I'm just looking at a picture of him now. He's asleep he's got a sort of a black UV protector thingy over him, so you can't actually see him, but you can see his little left foot sticking out of the pram.
That's a classic. I mean, what are the chances, really, I suppose? Although the local version here in New Zealand, of course, is Google have done the Street View, and I saw their camera towards the end of last year, twice in one day, so I'm waiting for them.
You're hoping you might be on their way, right?
Well, I'm waiting for them to update it, and it might be a strange one of me with my head looking over the fence at home.
I heard there was a guy, quite a famous musician, who got street viewed in his bathtub. He has an outdoor bathtub.
Really?
Hear about that? I don't know what the guy's name was.
Was he clothed? Well, I suppose not if he was in his bathtub.
Unless he was asleep in the bathtub without any water in it.
Perhaps.
Anyway, the other interesting thing about Krak, it's a good company. They've responded to the privacy concerns that always come up with these sort of Street View things by having a comments and corrections section on the site and promising to amend anything that offends anyone. So if you don't like the fact that you're on there, it'll be removed straight away. And the other sort of interesting news that's connected to these sort of sites is it's a really profitable business to be in these Street View services, because they're some of the most visited websites that exist.
Yeah.
There's a lot of advertising to be found on there.
Do they blur the faces there? Because they blur faces here.
Sarah, my wife, who I've been talking about a lot, her face is blurred in most of the photos of her. There's about 4 or 5 different angles of her.
Yeah.
But in one of them, she's looking directly at the car. She must have looked at the car, which looks quite odd, with the camera circling on top, and her face is quite clear, and she's looking directly into the camera.
And it's but it's still blurred slightly.
No, not in one of them is.
Well, you can complain about that.
Yeah, she could. She might be able to get some money out of it.
Well, I wasn't thinking about that, but there you go. What else has been happening over there? What else is interesting?
Well, there's a kind of amusing story. The mother of a 10-year-old boy, she's been jailed for 20 days. That's not amusing, but she's been jailed for slapping her son's schoolyard bully. She was picking up her son from school, and she saw that his cheeks were sort of bright red. He'd been, bopped around a bit. He explained he'd been beaten up by another boy, so she went to this boy who was 13 years old, and there's usually quite a size difference between 10-year-olds and 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
So naturally, she went to deal with it, and unfortunately, she ended up slapping the boy, and now she's going to jail. And the reason I picked this one up, not only because it's amusing, is that today I had a similar incident. I was taking my boy Felix, who's in the news a lot today. I was taking him to the dentist for his first dentist appointment, and he was asleep, so he didn't actually get seen. But on my way home from the dentist, I saw a boy bullying another boy. This kid, he just kicked the other kid and then stood there just giving him grief.
Yeah.
So I said, what are you doing? And he said, what does it look like I'm doing? And we had a bit of a standoff.
Right.
And I felt like, a bit of handing out a bit of vigilante justice and sort of grabbing him by the collar or something at least, but I left it.
You got to be careful. They're particularly, especially back here in New Zealand now, they frown on that sort of behaviour. With our
of course, you shouldn't. This mother's in the wrong, and of course she shouldn't slap the boy because he was bullying her boy. I mean, and of course she should be made an example of. But at the same time, as a parent, I can totally relate to it. And if I saw somebody doing that to my boy, I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah. Well, at least she didn't take an axe to the young boy.
Yeah, that would have been really bad. But speaking of axes, nice segue, Wammo. There was an assassination attempt on the Muhammad crisis that you've heard so much about around the world. In 2005, a series of cartoons depicting the Prophet Muhammad were drawn by Danish cartoonists and published in a newspaper called Jyllandsposten. They were then reproduced around the world in 2006. It really kicked off, and they were printed in the Nielsen Mail when I was working there, actually, and as in solidarity with the rest of the media around the world. And there were protests and boycotts of Danish products and so on, and it went on for a long time. And it's become very politicized in this country, and many of the political parties kind of define them by where they stand on this issue. The newspapers define themselves on where they stand. It's still a really big news. And one of those cartoonists, Kurt Vestergaard, who drew the most infamous of the cartoons, the one where Muhammad's got a turban on with a bomb in it.
Yep.
So basically, he's a terrorist. This guy, Kurt Vestergaard, a guy, he's had several threats on his life, mainly bomb threats. In 2006, 2 men were arrested for trying to kill him or planning to kill him. There's also been bombs found outside his house, and he's got 24-hour bodyguards and this sort of thing. Well, just on New Year's Day, a Somali-born man armed with an axe smashed his way into this guy's house and went after him. Now, Kurt Vestergaard, the cartoonist, he hid in his panic room, like in that film with...
that was a terrible film, yeah.
It really was. But anyway, it got a lot of people to have panic rooms, I think.
Yeah.
And he called the police, and who arrived shortly after. When police arrived, this guy with the axe, instead of putting it down, he went and smashed the window of one of the cop cars and threw his axe at one of the police officers, and then he was shot twice. He was initially charged with attempted murder, both of the cartoonist and of a police officer, and that's now been upgraded to attempted terrorism, which can give him a life sentence. Yeah. But that was really the big news, especially on New Year's Day when there's not really much happening. So that one went around the world. It's a long time ago, but this is the first letter from Copenhagen of the New Year, so I thought I'd include that one.
Fair enough.
At the end.
All right. Well, we look forward to more throughout the coming weeks. Daniel Nielsen, live from Copenhagen. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Track now from Toph Electric. This here is called A Darker Shade of Green. Radio Wammo Breakfast on the Kiwi.